Show.
Hello, and welcome to Breaking Ice, Building Bridges. My name is Santiago Ramones, and on the third of our Newview BIBB episodes, we've got here to my left,
LaQuanna,
and next to her,
Mark Ivy.
Mark, you've been brought up in the previous episodes in a good way.
What did they say? What did they say? I want a direct quote.
No, one of the times I just mentioned we were talking about beat baseball, and I was like, oh yeah, Mark has described that to me. But then I think the other time was a question that you had asked, like your favorite part of being blind, which Catherine had answered about the VIP treatment. So.
Yeah, or the constant DD.
DD.
I'm never the DD. I'm never having to. I have designated driver.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So Newview podcasts. We got Newview people in here. Starting in that same order. What is your involvement here at Newview, LaQuanna?
I work at the manufacturing plant. I'm in the vinyl department making shower curtains. I also do the I was just talking with Miss Lee. And I also was recently in the dance class. And I also get to help instruct the dance class next season.
Oh, heck yeah.
Hey, tell us what the Eyes Just Talking is. And as I say that, it's already taken, but what a great podcast title that would have been. But anyways, tell us what that is, LaQuanna.
I was just talking is pretty much, I don't want to say forum, but it's like
group, right?
Like a kind of like it, but it allows us to allows us blind people to to talk about blindness, and plus what we can use as far as like technology. Sometimes we will have guest speakers, or right now we've been mostly focusing on art. So we've been doing like arts and crafts type things, like making jewelry, working with the polymer clay. Pretty soon we're going to be having a glass blowing project with a guest artist that's going to help us do glass blowing. And we're just mainly focusing on art and how blind people can do visual art and working with our hands and, being creative, not just in, say, music or anything like that, just like with hands-on things like, say, the clay, or if it's about doing beadwork, making jewelry, or making, useful things, but we're making it by our hands, and it's made by blind artists. And we'll be able to, just show our creations to our family, or we might want to put it on a display for other people to see.
Yeah. We're going to talk about creativity more later. So, but first, Mark, what is your role, or what are you doing here at Newview?
Yeah, so I found Newview when I started losing my vision. So I came to Newview to learn how to be blind, and then after I going out into the world trying to get a job, it's tough being a blind guy out there, trying to go find work, and so came back to Newview, knocked on their door, and got a job out at Tinker Air Force Base. We have a contract out there where we recycle and refurbish all the boxes, the fiber boxes and wood boxes that the airplane parts come in, which was crazy the first time I saw, because people with my same eye disease, with even less vision than I have, were running nail guns, running saws, making these crates for $100,000 airplane parts to go in. And it gave me, it was the first time where I was like, whoa, like I can work, like do actual jobs that not only, you feel good about, but can support yourself, I have a family, right? A home, all these things that I didn't know was going to be possible. And so I've been here going on 10 years. I was at Tinker for a couple of years, came to headquarters and found a home on the financial development team where I raise money for our clinic services. And as of a couple of years ago, we've gotten some grant funding to set up and spread adaptive sports throughout our community for low vision and blind folks that may have played sports that no longer can, or may have never had an opportunity to play sports. Or so, yeah, that's rocking and rolling. We got a couple sports going on, and it's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of cool stuff happening in this community. But like I said, we're going to bring up creativity in all of this. So, LaQuanna, I know you are a extremely creative person. What are some of your favorite things to do, to make, to express yourself with?
I love music. I love to write my own music. I write lullabies, hymns, inspirational songs. I like to do different song interpretations, covers. I also do poetry every once in a while. My latest poem that I wrote, I had went to this place called Factory Obscura here in Oklahoma City. It's like I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to call it a museum, but it's not a museum per se, but it's like each room
it's like
has
a living
its own
art experience.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. And each room represents a different emotion. And you get to, and it'll be like a blind person's paradise because you get to feel what's on the walls and it's hands-on, and you'll get to like I said, you'll feel the decorations that were made in Israel, like handmade decorations, like whoever made the place, like made it by hand, like all the decorations and everything, like local artists made it. And like I said, each room represents an emotion, and it tells a story of pretty much life, the life of a teenager, or and it's like in the 90s because it's like an old school type thing. And like one room will represent wonder, and that's the ocean. It's supposed to look like the ocean. And there's one that represents hope, and it's supposed to represent like a desert. And the joy part of the place is like a garden. In my view, it was like a garden because it had like flowers and plants and had birds singing and things like that. And then there's this one room that has like a disco music type thing. It's supposed to represent melancholy. And there's also like another part that has a hall that's shaped like a heart, and it's all decorated with Valentine's cards. And there's a room that's supposed to look like a teenager's room with a jewelry box, and the jewelry box has like love songs, breakup songs, and it has like a videotape under the bed. And
so I want to hear about your creativity though. So
my experience at the Factory Obscura inspired a poem that I have written. I haven't written it down on paper, or not paper, I haven't really written it down, but I have recorded myself saying the poem in my mind. It was in my mind, and I pretty much took note of it by recording myself saying it.
Mark, tell me about your creative expression.
Well, first and foremost, any person who has low vision or blindness is creative, whether they know it or not. Oh, yeah. Because you got to be creative just to get out of the dadgum door in the morning, right? You got to get creative to fold your laundry. You got to get creative to pay for things. If you're paying with dollar bills or pouring a glass of milk, like everything's creative, because that's how we get. If you want to do something new, you got to create something new, right? So luckily, that just comes naturally because I got to do it. But in terms of just what I personally enjoy creating is laughs. I like creating comedy, whether it's with, jokes, with, words or actions or, however that is. And I'm not the most creative person, but that is something that I've noticed that kind of comes out of me, whether I like it or not.
There's always a better energy in the room just because everyone is laughing and you really bring that to the table, Mark. So, and you have another podcast here. What's that called?
We Are Not Prepared, which is creative in itself because the second the button hits record, we have to create a podcast that we have no idea what the topic is, where it's going. And so, yeah, spur the moment creativity.
Yeah.
Which is also known as BS.
Absolutely. We're also working on creating a new Newview podcast. So, LaQuanna, tell me about what you want this thing to be, since you've been contributing a lot to these discussions.
Just to let the blind community know that it's a safe place to express yourself and to, in a sense, we see you. We're blind too. And you have the privilege and the right and the space to communicate with us because we can understand you. We know, we know what you're talking about because we are in that same boat. Like we may have different visions, literally and figuratively, we may have different visions. You may be nearsighted, farsighted. You may be totally blind. You may have light perception like I do. And plus, we'll be able to, show the side of people, that, even though we're blind, we're human too. But we just do different things than you do.
Yes,
and even we might do things different. We may do the same thing that you guys do, but we just got to modify it for our needs, our condition, because you think you might say, oh, you can't see the type, you can't see to, work with this computer, but we got accessibility software that can help us read the screen. Or you can say, oh, you can't do this because you're blind, but we can say, if you can accommodate us and modify your task for our needs, then we'll be able to do what you do.
There's been this ongoing conversation about community and finding community in blind and low vision, but then also just in general. So what has been this Newview community for you in your life?
One thing is a job. It's pretty much all I know as far as being blind is concerned. Everything at the job is pretty much hands-on for us because the machines are made for us to operate. Plus, I have people more like me that I can be in contact with and connect with and to socialize with. I feel like it's a thing for support because I hardly have any, besides family, I feel like they're the only ones that can support me and they know what I'm going through because they're going through the same thing. And that they can teach me how to be independent and they can show me how to do things. And they can show me, how to go to get around the city and to do things in my home in order to be more independent and to take care of myself even though there's no one around to help me do it. And plus, I can also ask for help if I do need help.
Absolutely. Mark, what's been this community for you in your life?
I mean, for no pun intended, it's opened my eyes to just how everyone, LaQuanna, you've said you've hit it on the head with a lot. We're all people. We're all human. and we're doing the same things everyone else is doing, but in a different way, right? And the more our community, like whether it's through someone in the community taking a tour of our manufacturing facility that LaQuanna has been talking about, any fire hose in this entire nation that's fighting a wildfire is coming from Newview, Oklahoma, being made by blind and low vision folks, right? And the more the community gets to come witness this, or the more the community gets to come, be on a podcast with us, whether they're listening or doing it with us, the more the community gets involved, not only is it the more support we get, but the more that I understand that, we've been throwing around a term or a phrase, everyone has their blindness, right? And so the more involvement with community, the more I understand folks that I've never had a chance to understand, right? I think we've talked about, like, losing my vision has put me on a playing field to where, and in no way, shape, or form do I want to, say that I understand what it feels like, what racism feels like, or what, whatever, but bias in general, right? I've now experienced it for the first time in my life through this journey, and it really does tie the knot between you and people outside of our Newview walls, right? And the more that happens, the more that, LaQuanna, you and I should be able to go get jobs somewhere else, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And the more people that see what we can do, see you on your vinyl machines, see, you speak 6 languages, you have so much to offer the list goes on with so many of my coworkers. And that's what has been the coolest experience to me, which is initially lifting my spirits and like, okay, Mark, you can do this too, to now joining with, my fellow blind folk and leading the charge to break down some barriers that have been there in the entire history of our existence.
I love that. I love that this community's here. I love that I've gotten to hear so many amazing perspectives from all of you, and I look forward to continuing to hear all of these perspectives. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, you're welcome. This is my first time ever doing a podcast, like ever. I've never done a podcast before. This is, I feel like I would be, start off being a guest, and then if I want to, then I'll host one. I might do one on music, maybe. And just to get on about like blind people, doing different things. I listen to this show called America's Got Talent, and there's been some blind people on there. Cody Lee, who is a blind piano player and autistic. He's blind and autistic, and he played piano. He won the competition. So I can see us blind people, going on shows like that, on America's Got Talent, or maybe blind, or maybe a chef show, because somebody told me about a blind person who cooked on the show and won it. So I think that we blind people can do different things, just not just manufacturing, but, using our other gifts and talents in order to be in the community and in the world. We were talking about, there's a blind artist who paints murals. He did art when he was sighted, but he lost his vision, but he still does visual art. But he does it in a different way. He still paints, but he does it in a different way. Like each texture of paint is a color. Like he would put beads in one paint, and that would be like orange. Mm-hmm. And the smoother paint would be, say, red, or a thicker paint would be yellow. He has his own way of determining the color that he wants to put onto the project that he's doing. So, and he's traveling all over the world with this. So it's not like we blind people can do one thing. We can do different things, and we all have our gifts and talents, and we shouldn't be afraid or ashamed to share those.
You got too many though, so that's the problem. That's why you're going to struggle making your own podcast, because you could have 6 podcasts with music or language or art. But yeah, good problem to have, LaQuanna.
Thank you so much for being here, LaQuanna and Mark. This has been Breaking Ice, Building Bridges.
Thank you. Gracias, Santiago.
Connecting a community through conversation.
Breaking Ice, Building Bridges is the Possibilities Community Podcast platform. Thanks for tuning in.